Good morning, everybody. So this is going to be a short but insightful conversation about data security in the media and entertainment industry. My name is Sean Ear. I lead partnerships for Laminar, the first cloud-native data security company, pioneer of the DSPM category. Joined today by Brian Lozada, Chief Information Security Officer of Prime Video and Studios at Amazon, and Christian Peterman, Director and Staff Cybersecurity Engineer at the NBA. Both companies produce original content distributed through a variety of different platforms, and I'm really excited that we have both the CISO and the data security practitioner perspectives here today. So for introductions, Brian has more than 15 years of experience developing and maintaining information security programs for some of the world's top brands, including HBO Max, ZocDoc, Condé Nast, Sony Music Entertainment, and Vonage. He's an advisor to several VC firms and cybersecurity startups. He holds a bachelor's in information security and a master's in homeland security from Monmouth University, as well as an MBA from Villanova University, and is a certified MSSP. Brian's also a former Marine. Thank you for your service.
My pleasure.
Christian has held several roles of increasing responsibility at the NBA over the past 8 years, where he focuses on data protection, data privacy, and third-party risk management. His deep understanding of data privacy regulations, such as GDPR and CCPA, enables him to navigate complex compliance requirements and implement privacy-enhancing measures within the organization. He has a Bachelor of Science from Aspen University in Criminal Justice, as well as a CIPPE and CIPM certifications. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Brian, we'll start with you. So as a CISO in the media and entertainment industry, what do you think about when you hear the term data democratization?
Thank you for the opportunity to come speak today. So when I hear the term data democratization and I think about media and entertainment, it's not just media and entertainment. I say every business in the world right now, whether they want to admit it or not, they're a data company. And they have to think about how they are capturing that data, using that data to make decisions within their environment. And it's no different when it comes to media and entertainment. How do we safely and responsibly look at the opportunities that exist with the data that we're using from either a product perspective or to help improve that customer experience? We are customer obsessed, so we like to make sure that we are optimizing our resources and our delivery for that customer. And we need to use data to actually do that. And safeguarding that data use throughout the environment is paramount for the organization.
And so when you think about safeguarding that data while making it more available at the same time, what types of new challenges result from that agile approach to the data use within the organization? At Laminar, we talk about the innovation attack surface. Does that sort of resonate?
It does, because we are innovating with data. We have to stay competitive. So looking at how that data lifecycle throughout the development world is being used and how we could use tools to help us manage that data. Look at access. Look how it's actually being democratized and put back into the product. So it's important to calibrate our resources to make sure that we have the right guardrails. Because we don't want to stop innovation. We do not want to slow down the opportunity for data to be used. So we have to use the right guardrails so that we're, again, using that data responsibly.
Absolutely. Opening up opportunities for innovation, unlocking the speed, but not commensurately increasing the risk.
Agreed. Yep.
So Christian, as a data security practitioner, as the person responsible for implementing those objectives, what is DSPM and why did the NBA decide to procure one?
Sure. So thanks, first of all, for having me here. So DSPM is Data Security Posture Management, and it's essentially cloud security posture management, but in the context of data, right? So data classification, data discovery, and putting that alongside of the actual security posture of those environments where that data sits, in order to better understand it and protect it and view it through like a single pane of glass.
And after NBA adopted DSPM, and maybe even say a word or two about what adopting DSPM was like in terms of implementation, let's start with that one. What was it like?
Sure. As we started our journey into the cloud, we realized pretty quickly that traditional methods of discovering and protecting that data weren't necessarily the best way to do it. Security posture tools there were plenty of them that did a great job at identifying issues, but there was no data context. And data discovery tools existed, but it was just the data, and it didn't have any security context there. So we needed a way to not only discover and protect the data, but also discover data we didn't even know about, shadow data.
Previously, when you talk about the previous methods, it was manual.
Oh, it's very manual. Whether it was begging people to classify their data, which is the problem there is that that's static, and then you have to keep updating that or getting somebody to update that. Then you would have to usually compare two systems, right? You have the security information and you have the data classification information, and it was very manual and a lot of work.
And so the before and after, how did your life change? How did your day-to-day life change after implementing DSPM?
So we were able to operationalize and automate some of the processes that were previously manual. We were getting alerts that there were data issues or security issues based on data. Hey, this is open to the public and it has PII in it, and we could then act on those alerts instead of us having to first find the problems and then figure out who's responsible, and so it made the day-to-day a lot easier.
Ryan, does this sound like something that at the CISO level you become aware of, like that sort of manual process of tracking down data, classifying data, and ascertaining ownership and lineage of data?
So the manual part of it is incredibly expensive, and it's painstaking within the organization. Most developers don't know if they're data sensitive or not, right? So if we have a tool that can help drive that, close that gap, and really remove that friction from the developer lifecycle, that's one. Two, the manual effort, the longer that manual effort is, the longer it takes for us to actually action on remediating or providing any sort of guardrails or security towards it. So if I could shorten that time, it gives me the opportunity to take my engineers or the resources and put them back on a strategic roadmap instead of on that manual operational roadmap that, again, time consuming and it's not really adding much value to the business.
I'll ask this question to both of you. When you think about data security and who in the organization uses it, it's going to be a data security practitioner, sort of like you are, Christian. But have you guys thought about, this is a leading question because I obviously have you thought about how other security tools, other tools inside the security stack can leverage the data, that the information, the context that a DSPM provides? I'm thinking about the announcement we did yesterday, having joined the Wiz integration network, and sort of how DSPM can enrich CNAP and CSPM. There are other situations. What do you guys think or see about there?
You want to go first?
Sure. I'm a privacy geek, so feeding into a data map in relation to privacy matters is something that concerns me. Texas, the privacy regulation is going to be the 10th U.S. privacy regulation that's going to pass, and I think there are 5 that go active this year. So just knowing where the data is and being able to protect it, for those reasons, I think it would be, it's super helpful.
So on my side, I think about if I could use the output of DSPM, the data that's coming out of it, and drive automation. Just drive that action for remediation, or I could do a few things with it, right? I'm getting, thinking from an entrepreneur perspective or creative perspective. I could drive remediation in the environment, which is going to reduce the risk. But I could also use that data to inform developers as they're building and saying, these are the risks that exist, that were discovered by DSPM in your build process, so that I could avoid that from happening in the future. And again, I'm going to say this in the bingo buzzword, automation. Like, it really does help drive automation if I have the right data, feeding it into my own systems to either drive remediation lambdas or drive fixes throughout the environment up to, the build cycle, so that they can't even, orchestrate that risk in the environment to begin with.
Yeah. So one of the there are two remarks that I have to in response to what both of you guys said. One, Christian, you talked about knowing where your data is and how important that is for both privacy and security reasons. It might be worth saying a word or two about how data sort of can go rogue or end up in the shadows in an environment. Like, what sort of activities are developers and data scientists doing that result in data appearing in environments where it doesn't belong or being accidentally overexposed?
Sure. It could be anything from taking production data and putting it into a dev environment and you're not realizing it, or you're doing some work and you take a copy of data or a snapshot or a backup temporarily, and then temporarily becomes forever and forgotten about. Those are cases that I've seen where accidentally, nobody's trying to do anything on purpose, but if any of those environments are not secure, then obviously you have a problem.
Yeah, we see a ton of that.
Yeah, I think back to the point you made earlier, is like they put it into a dev environment, they didn't know. Again, it goes back to my earlier point. Do your developers actually know what data they actually are storing, processing, or transmitting within their service? Like, if it's already obfuscated and it already has a tag, legal might consider it PII and privacy. Developers don't know, right? So it's, again, I'm on the side of the developer. It's really not their fault when they make these type of mistakes. And if we're giving them opportunity and technology and giving them a mission to build services and not providing guardrails, that's on us as leaders, that we have to give them the right opportunity to make the right decision.
Yeah, and being able to see the violations of those guardrails is critical. Last question for both of you guys, and this might actually be the last question depending on how it goes. So at last year's Reinforce, AWS introduced the data protection category, new category for the security competency. Laminar is now a member of that, obviously. And a week after Reinforce, Gartner put DSPM on the hype cycle for the first time. It's been a crazy less than a year for this category. The category is less than a year old, sort of officially. How do you guys see it evolving? Do you think that data security is going to increase in importance, decrease in importance? Is it all hype? What are your opinions? Make some wild speculations about the future.
Go ahead.
I think the reason that there's so much hype around it is that it's something that's been needed for so long, and it's one of those situations where you didn't know you needed something until you had it, and then you're saying, well, why didn't this exist all the time? I think as privacy regulations increase, I think as data breaches increase, it goes to show that this is something that's needed. You need to know where your data is and make sure it's secure.
Totally agree. I don't think it's hype. I think it's part of the evolution of security. Security is an evolving space. It will consistently evolve as technology and platforms evolve. It's a needed space. And I also think that privacy regulations are really starting to take a large part of roadmaps throughout organizations, because they are starting to dictate what you can do with that data, right? And I agree with it. I think it's the right thing to do. It gives power back to the consumer. But as technologists, we need to think, how can we optimize our environments to make sure we're doing it responsibly without slowing down the business and still providing that value to the customer, to the experience. So I think DSPM is definitely not hype. I think it's definitely going to grow. I think more and more organizations are going to have to start leaning into that area of how do you make sure that you have the right tools and guardrails of managing that data lifecycle throughout your environments.
Awesome, guys. Thank you both for joining us on stage. Hope you have a great second half of the conference.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.